All right. So welcome to the Intuition Summit. We are so happy you're here. And I'm especially excited for this interview because I feel like the frequencies started to change before we even got on. And the subject is integrating your light body. So for me personally, I'll just start. I just got a phone call from a dear client who's also a friend of mine who is like, hey, I'm going to go to Egypt and I'm going to be basically, she's activating a light portal that's going to be sending light out to the entire planet. And what I told her is her vibration has changed and is transforming just like mine is. And I believe we all are. So I know I haven't introduced our dear friend, Bry, who's on this show with us. But before I do, I just want everybody to tune into your own intuition. Imagine that you're looking up at the sun and it's beaming at you. And that light is your soul light coming all the way down through the top of your head, through your heart, down through your gut, straight to your core, through your legs, your feet, connecting to the core of the earth, feeling unconditional love from Mother Earth, and then drawing that energy from the core of the earth all the way back up through your gut, up to your heart. And you might even want to make this little symbol that Emmy and I do, putting your hands together to make a heart, and let your third eye, which is right in between your eyebrows, open. And notice how you feel and how you start to see through the eyes of your heart. So with that, this beautiful man, Bry Wilkinson, I really consider him family. So there was a pretty big thing that happened within my physical immediate family last year. And my mom started working with this person. And I'll just tell you what happened. So my dad actually transitioned to the other side. And so this is actually the first time I've ever gone public about it, because it's so sacred. But this man, Bry, reminds me of my dad. And I walk with my dad in spirit every day. And I know Emmy also relates because we're connected in soul family too. So I believe everybody listening right now is somehow connected as soul family because we're drawn to this frequency of light. And I believe we're here to raise the consciousness of this planet together by being the change. So Bry has done a lot in the world. The biggest thing is I think he has multiple kids, which I think is incredible. And my mom told me he has like 40 or 50 followers on Instagram, which is way more than like I've ever come close to. So I'm like, okay, he has a lot of followers, but I think it's just by being him. So Bry, I don't even know your credentials. I just know you're incredible. And I tune in with you at the frequency level more than anything. And for me, that is the greatest teacher. I know I left college and started my company, so I don't worry about that stuff. I care about the love. So anything you want to share with our audience, and Emmy, thank you for co-hosting this with me. It's just always such an honor. So welcome, Bry.
Oh, thank you. That's such an amazing welcome. I'm learning recently to receive it. It's that kind of one of those coping mechanisms of mine was to not receive it, and it's like, okay, I can take that in and allow it. As I realized that I was being sort of stingy. We notice when someone gives us, it can be energetically or a gift or whatever, and we notice when that isn't fully accepted. So yeah, and what a beautiful share. And my energy is literally buzzing from that. So I'm almost trying to hold myself in that the frequency has shifted dramatically. And interestingly, I feel the presence of your father. He comes in, so he must have had such a strong presence. And I say, his presence is still here, is never lost. It's right here with us, and he's listening in. And I just think that's amazing.
Well, it's beyond, right? Like when we're in that light frequency, we can connect to spirit, which is beyond the physical. And so that's why, I created the intuitive child that, for kids, because as we all wake up to that, whether it's our inner child or the kids we know, we can connect to a world of love, right? So my dad is through the frequency of love, right? Just like, Emmy's dad, your dad, anybody's, connection is actually first felt through the heart. And so to activate your inner light body, the first step is always your heart. Always.
That heart connection has always been my, it's my thing. The even channeling through the heart has been my thing, and part of my training, and also coming more into the body. It started off where I was enjoying the experiences of connecting with higher vibrational guides outside of my body, and then it became more of a, who am I? I lost my sense of self. I always needed to go to a guide. And I realized the vibration on the earth has changed so dramatically that we don't need to do that anymore. We can call on that for assistance. But right within us is this amazing portal. And we can drop into it so easily. It's right here. And you can feel it. It's palpable.
It's your intuition. Hello, your portal's your intuition, It's like heart all the way down to the gut, activate. That's what I tell the kids. I'm like, what do you want? 1 hand on heart, 1 hand on gut, activate, and it's like they get it. That's that innate knowing. They just know.
Yeah. And it's quite a journey down into the root as well. Really deep. How deeply can we be rooted here in the body and connected to the earth? How deeply can we be rooted here in the body and access all that's available to us? And maybe I might be speaking too much.
That's embodying it. I think what you say, connect to the root, that's embodying it, right? Like I know, like first chakra energy is root at the base of your spine. So the I am energy, I'm here, I'm present, I am safe. I feel like, and I know we haven't, man, I got to bring you in even more. This woman, I feel, she is the embodiment of love, right? And so when we're feeling the frequency of our soul, and like you said, Bry, we ground that and root it in, we integrate it, we then emit that frequency. So my experience of our dear friend, Emmy, which we really should, she's just, man, you've been doing this work for, I want to say close to as long as me, like 20 years, right? Like a long time. Yeah. Experienced.
Yes, and I just want to give the universal love sign here, one of the universal love signs.
Well, that one is on her book. So Emmy is an author, she's a speaker, she's a teacher. Do you want to show your book? Because I don't think we've introduced that to anybody yet. She has an intuitive development course coming up. So if you want to share that real quick.
Oh, you're so nice. I think we did mention this in my interview for sure, but it's so fun to, and I painted this heart. Thank you for mentioning it, Abby. And
of course.
And that's why it's so fun to connect with so many people on this summit, including yourself, Bry, is to hear about how you connect with your intuition. And I'm curious to hear a little bit, if you would share how you got into this journey of connecting in this divine spiritual realm, or however you would term it. And I also think it's really fascinating that you share. And I agree with you. And when I first started meditating, one of my teachers, I felt like I was going to levitate. And she's like, no, stay here in the earth. But I think sometimes people, when they connect in that astral or quote non-physical, although it's just a continuum, in my opinion, spiritual realm, that sometimes people feel like they're just going to go out into outer space. So I would love to hear a little bit about your journey and also how you serve people to kind of get us started, because I'm just now first meeting you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I love the front cover, by the way. Gorgeous. Yeah, just really simple and punchy.
Thank you.
My journey is a strange one, actually, and not for the faint-hearted. It's easier to kind of go back to it as a child, because as a child, I would see spirit. I would be seeing all sorts of things as a really young child, and I was so fearful it would scare me to death. And of course, I'm screaming. Parents are not able to hold the space for that. And I shut down for decades. Like I sometimes think of myself as like a sleeper agent in a good way, you know, like from the heart. That
What's up, Bry?
yeah. So I and it's probably not a good way to approach it, but it's been my way to go through difficult times. I suppressed, so I became depressed. I suppressed a lot of emotion deep inside of me, and I was so depressed that I kind of I almost just gave up on me. I lost that sense of me. We talk about the light body. I was probably in that kind of the pain body. You know, I was embodying the pain body, but somewhere inside of me was this small light, this whisper that was calling me in. And through a series of synchronicities, I ended up on a channeling workshop. I'd done some meditation, and when I meditated, before that, I would just sit down, and go, and the colors was like, woo, woo, woo. You know, it was intense. Turned up on this channeling workshop run by a dear friend of mine, Janet Trelaw, just this amazing channel. And the next minute, I'm sat there and I know something is happening, because it was almost like, it's like I became an angelic being, or an angelic being came into my body. And all of a sudden I was speaking in a different voice, ever so slightly different voice, communicating things about the planet, that we need to awaken, the heart space. It was all going on. And I know what this feels like. I was close to, I would say, spiritual emergency. Okay, so that is when we're teetering on the edge, with in between the seen and the unseen. And that lasted for probably 5 days. Intense. I was walking around in the middle of the night, looking at the energy. The trees were talking to me. I could hear telepathic communication from people. I could hear their thoughts. I could feel so much, but I wasn't able to sustain it, control it. Actually, control is probably not I don't like to use the word control, but it was
Harness.
just, yeah, harness. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And yeah, I spent then many years working out what that was, what was that peak experience, and what is my mission? Where am I? You know, where am I in all of this? Having spent years as, I was a professional photographer, and it just, the whole industry. I was in that marketing industry, selling products, selling food, which was, I'm going to go controversial, was basically kind of selling poison. I'm going to go that far, and making it look beautiful, but it didn't align with me. And every day it didn't feel right. And I'd lost my gut instinct. I'd lost my kind of way of navigating. So intuition is so important to me, even on an everyday life, because it can literally change your life, and can make the difference between living or dying as well. And that's quite, it's big. That's how big it is for me.
Mm-hmm. When you say living or dying, what do you mean? Because to me, living is like the light, whether you physically pass or not, being in the light, being in love, being in truth. I'd love for you to expand on what you mean by that.
Well, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, that's like calling me on it. I love that. Yeah, yeah, because there are some truths in the dying, and there are, as in this personality moving on. I'm talking about really simple things, like knowing when to change lanes on the highway, when to go left or right. What 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 job is right for me? What are these really simple things? What food does my body need to nourish itself? And I'm talking about conscious living, I suppose. And so then you mentioned like, what do I do for clients? So I used to channel information for people, but I found that after a while, I wanted, because I prefer to find the information for myself. And so I decided to change the way I operated. And strategically, sort of income wise, it's probably not a good idea, because most of us want to go, give me the answers. I'm going to go to astrologer, tarot reader, whatever. I need to know, I'm lost. Whereas my philosophy is, well, let's see what's going on, and if we can unpick it together co-creatively. So it's a co-creative space. I may be able to see exactly what that person needs, but it's none of my business. Kind of like we're guiding towards that, and it's a process. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I think that a few things you said, some of our listeners, viewers can relate to, where you described that you had experiences where you were seeing things and then you shut it down. And then you also described how you had psychological material that you suppressed. And, throughout these conversations with people on the summit, and this is something Abby and I know we do in our practices as well, is that we address healing with people, because it seems that in order really to, or would you agree that for people to really access their intuition, that transformative process, while yes, you can get insight pretty much immediately on certain things, but to really trust it and go deep with it, there's healing that is required.
The healing journey is an interesting one, isn't it? It can be quite long. And I think that journey, the two go together. So as we heal, our intuition grows stronger and stronger, because it's right here inside of us. We don't need to go anywhere. It's right here. And so it almost activates itself. It starts to become more of our daily practice. And yeah, healing it's just so interesting, isn't it? And different people's terms on healing. And I did train in that like shamanic practices as well, and in the sense of like soul retrieval, power retrieval, all those sorts of things. But I still believe that as we turn towards those, towards those wounded aspects of ourselves, and give them what they need in that time, without needing anything from them, the healing can happen much more quickly. We're used to going in and wanting everything, like the quick pill, the quick fix. It doesn't, in my experience, doesn't work that way. And if it does, it's hard to integrate. It's hard to make sense of it.
Yeah, the mind has to catch up sometimes to the intuition. I think that's why it can be overwhelming for the brain.
Yeah. And of course, I'd just say that, of course, my personal journey is sort of decades of suppressed energy, and the current vibration. If I even mention something to my stepdaughter in her 20s, she just gets it like that, because of the vibration, the Earth's vibration. Now, the younger generation coming in are on fire, because those who are wished to are so connected, unbelievably connected, that they don't even realize how connected they are. I think it's amazing that Abby has this intuitive child program. It's like, wow, who wouldn't want that as a child? Yeah. That's like the root of us as people, as human beings.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bry. Yeah, and I think my parents were very supportive of my intuition. So it's like to have parents who get on board with their kids, to be that unconditional, loving support, because then children feel safe to be who they are. They feel supported for their purpose, not necessarily what society tells you should do, So to blaze your own trail.
Mm.
Bry, what can you say to people who, like yourself, in the past might be fearful of cracking the door wider open into their intuition because they might be afraid of what they might see or find, or maybe they've already had experiences that they couldn't explain and they shut it down?
Yeah, my experience is extreme. I'm a big advocate of going slowly at your pace, working with the right person, get a sense of who they are, have a chat with them before you meet them. And there are lots of fashions currently with plant medicines that can take people really, really open people up if they're not in the right setting, if they're not nurtured and prepared in the right way. I would start really gently. And one of the best intuition or intuitive guides for me is the body. It's so sensitive. We can feel people's vibrations. You can feel my vibration now if you allow it and get a sense of who I am deep at the core. And that's that authenticity. I'm being as authentic as I can in this moment. And people feel that there's a resonance to it, and they're kind of going, what is that? So we'll start gently with those whispers from deep inside for me. And it's not from the head. We're softening to it. We're softening to being receptive to new vibrations and feelings. Feelings for me have been almost a revelation, because it doesn't need to be like in the films where you see things and it's all like big, scary. We're unraveling, or I like to say translating, feeling sensations into what that means for us. And it can change. It's a fluid thing. And we never really get more than we can actually take or hold in that moment. And our bodies are so good at shutting down, I think, or I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Because I think the heart can shut down and then the body, it's like, because our heart is our connector. So it's like, ooh, that hurts. And then the whole body can kind of cave. So to open up and tune into your intuition, like you said, can activate that truth within and then illuminate to create the healing.
Mm.
And when we talk about the heart, people listening might say, well, I have a wounded heart, or I keep my heart close to myself, or, all that kind of language around the heart. And Bry, what do you suggest to your clients, or what can you say to people that can maybe assist them with feeling more safe in their heart when maybe they do have some wounds?
Well, I would simply turn around to that face, that look at that wound gently. And that's where you need a really good practitioner who can feel the energies. Okay, so say I'm doing a session, I can feel whether it's too much. So there's a flow between the two of us. Whether if I'm pushing, then I'm not doing my job. I'm holding the space for that to come through, whatever needs to come through. It's a delicate operation, the heart. It's as delicate as an actual heart operation, the energy involved. We don't go blasting in there in a kind of masculine way. We're talking about feminine energies and softening, always softening towards it. So we're not rushing. There's no pushing. And for me, people feel that. And I would say behind the wound, there is so much more. As you work on that wound, nurture that wound, be the parent or caregiver for that wound that it never received at the time, it can soften, it can join you on the journey. And suddenly we can realize it's not even a wound at all. It's the most amazing, amazing person. And gradually we become more whole. We become more vital. We get more clarity. And there's a pace to that. And I was one for rushing, or the older me was one for rushing. I need this. And it was always the mind. I didn't realize it was a mind. Or it was my teenage part was in such a hurry. He was so angry. And I turned towards him and go, I see what pain you were in. And I see what life you had. But that has all changed now in this moment, because I'm here for you. And that's what I would say. That's what I would say. The heart knows.
I just want to offer that you're sharing words, and before we recorded, you said that somebody wanted to hear your voice to get a sense of your vibration, which I think is just so beautifully put by that person who requested that. And I'm grateful that Abby and I can help feature you and have others hear your voice, because when I'm hearing you speak, there's words and there's language, and we understand that from an intellectual or mind perspective. You're beckoning us to really feel your energy and feel the vibration in your words. And I've just got an image of you healing thousands of people right now with what you just said. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm just going to pause there, because it's just so important to pause. We're always moving, aren't we? And those vibrations are way beyond words in the stillness. Thank you.
Thank you. And I like how you're inviting people to feel, which is a lot of what intuition is, right? It can come as flashes of insight, it can come in dreams. But really, everything, I mean, we don't really have a different word for it, or maybe you do, Bry, but everything is sort of energy or vibration or a continuum thereof. And we can feel into, and I'm having a deja vu right now, but how things feel to us and what, for lack of a better word, feels good and what doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it takes some. There's a bit of practice in that. I noticed you mentioned trust is a big one on this summit, and yeah, because we can overthink, we can ask other people, which is the biggest killer of trust for me. Oh, what do you think? And being because recently, I love to be really open, honest. Recently, I had because we can get messages that are harsh. It's like the harsh sort of grandmother energy, and she will tell you, she'll tell you when it needs to be laid down. And you kind of okay, here we go. So the messages for me was, Bry, you can't play small anymore. And they showed me, or I don't use the word they. It's a habit. That's a habit. I was shown where I played small, and then I was shown where I was people pleasing. Then I was shown, this is last weekend, and then I was shown where I wasn't fully receiving when someone's giving. I wasn't being fully present in my body, in my space. I was denying them the gift again. And it went further. So I was shown almost these sub-personalities of mine, of it, how it's just not appropriate anymore, and how it affects others. And it was time for me to step up into my own light. And that's what's amazing about this summit, because for me personally, I don't speak on social media. I've never been on a summit before, and I'm sure I was chatting with Abby and she said, you're actually a sort of nobody. And I was like, I quite like that
Wait,
becoming
what?
nobody. For me, that means I'm a clearer channel than I've ever been.
I
And
don't think I ever said you're a nobody, though. I didn't
no,
say
no,
that.
I actually think that's amazing.
I don't
I
remember
do.
saying that.
We were just in terms of like your social media presence and the books, the courses, all that. I haven't got any of that, and it's kind of like it's an interesting place to be. Like, who can I be when I'm less identified with the personality, with the Bry who, the Bry who's a father, the Bry who goes to work and does certain things, and all those programs, all the family programming. If I can be as clear a channel and go as deep into my own presence, my own light for others, and that doesn't just mean going to the shop. It means everything. It's walking around in this vibration, touching without wanting to receive or needing to receive anything, touching the world. And I was looking at my cat earlier. I was thinking about how animals, they understand the light body. They understand vibration perfectly. And they will not people please. A cat will not come to you if you need it, if you want it. Well, our cats anyway. And they understand the vibration of the earth, and they shift much more quickly than we do, because we resist. We resist what's already there inside of us, and we don't trust the gut. We don't trust our inner knowing that we have this amazing wisdom inside of us. Like, we are the wisdom keepers, and others have been holding the space for us to catch up, for us to realize what's going on in the planet, what's going on amongst us, and how we can change it, how we can create new structures, new politics, new health regimes, money. It touches everything. And then you go, wow, that's so big. That's so big. And there's so many of us awakening right now. It's an incredible time. And I know there are difficult things going on the earth. And I know I have friends that when people are dying, they're working at night to assist them in transitioning, to assist the souls when there's big events like that. And how can we adjust our vibration to allow a bit more space, a bit more love into our lives? And that has an effect.
It's so incredible as you're talking. So first of all, I got to clarify. I don't think you're a nobody. I think you're full of wisdom. My point is, I think you have like 40,000 followers on Instagram. So I think you have a lot of people that follow you, but I connected with you on pure vibration. And so I know you've done a lot. I just didn't know what it all was. But I think that is, to your point, it is beyond, what our identity is or what we've done. It's who we are at the soul level, who we are energetically, and the more light we become, the more we rise. And so as you were talking, I literally saw my dad actually coming through your physical body, and then like 30 seconds ago his hand was on your shoulder. So and it's funny because physically you look a lot like him, but my point in telling everybody this is when we raise to that frequency, when we embody our light, we become the angels that we are. We become the soul that we are, which is pure love. And so we can start to see that other world, which is energetics. It's beyond the physical, right? So that's why, like I'll probably be bringing this person on for marketing, and she's about ready to have a baby. And I'm like, oh, I can see that soul coming in. And I do that a lot. I'll see the babies before they come, or when people pass, it's like, Darla was a mom that was like a second mom to me growing up. And I saw when she transitioned, it's just like another thing. But as we embody this wisdom and we become lighter and lighter, and, you listen to Bry's voice or our words or whatever connects you to what you already know, you can start to see this energetic world beyond the physical and then download it into creation of something loving, whether it's a business or a relationship or health. Like I've touched people and their bump goes away, or they can start walking or heal the blind. All of it's happened because it's frequency. And when that soul's ready to see again, they will. Like we did a past life clearing. She was ready to see. She's like, oh my God, I went to the doctor's office, right? Or walking, a student got ran over by a car. She was ready. She could walk. I mean, it's just when the lesson has been learned, the soul will evolve to the next level. So now I'm channeling, but I just wanted to share that with you because I feel like it's very amazing to watch that, just the energies and to see how there's no separation, like literally, like he's literally was coming through you. Now he's not, because I expressed what needed to be shared, but that there's no, whatever that thing is, veil between the two worlds, that it's all one. So it's just, I think, purging the old energies that don't allow the light to fully expand, letting go of the fear, letting go of the repression, the depression, because that's stuck energy. So when the light and the love of the heart comes in, the heart can open, our intuition, that gut inner compass, can then guide us on our purpose to have that deep fulfillment that's worth more than anything in my book, So yeah, anyways, hopefully that's helpful to share.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Abby, you mentioned that you've healed people, and I know I've had a healing practice as well. We're talking about the light body, and I'm also interested, Bry and Abby, what you feel about how some people, despite their best efforts, maybe don't get over something that is a block in their life. And do you feel that is either part of their kind of karmic experience to have in that event? Or do you feel that there's something else going on there? Because in my experience, working with people's light vibration, that sometimes that's sort of like grist for the mill of learning as well.
I mean, the first thing that comes to me is it's a gift. So whatever is happening, if it hasn't healed, which I agree with Bry, like we're already whole. So if that pattern or that condition is still there, you're actually getting more from that than not, because our system is always, our brain is designed to make the best choice. It's just the way we're made. And our soul, I believe, also knows. So if that thing is still there, there is something that's serving you in it. And so it's going to stay present until there's something greater. Right. So if somebody has cancer, there's something in that experience that's serving them. And at the point that they receive the gift, like I always say in the Intuitive Success Club, I say something like the gift will always be greater than the lesson. The gift is whatever's happening. It's the present moment. It's always greater than however hard that lesson was. And I think I'm bringing up cancer because one of my dear friends, she literally, I think I told you, just had the surgery yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to hold her and help her see the wholeness. But I deep down know it's taking her to a deeper level of self-love and inner beauty. I believe, and I even told her that her partner's coming because it's getting her to that point of true beauty, of soul beauty. So that's why I believe, in my opinion, it really is, the gift is greater and there's nothing wrong. That's the thing. I think this judgment thing of that's wrong, that shouldn't happen, that immediately creates separation. And I, for one, can't stand to be judged. I don't think anybody likes it. So wrong is a judgment. So if there's a condition happening, what is serving you? What's the gift? That's what I'd ask. What served me? What's the gift? And then I believe you or anybody will naturally evolve to that next level, right? Of whatever your soul's here to do. So yeah, I'm curious what you feel, Bry, but that's really what I feel, as a channel message from the light.
It's a really tough one, isn't it? Because we can, it's very hard for people to see the gift when they're in pain, and when there's a lot of fear around cancer. And my own father died of cancer. My mother's got stage 4 cancer, and is currently battling with it. Interesting, that battle. That's where I sometimes go to. What is the battle within? Where is the resistance? Because people are in pain, so straight away there's compassion there. They're fearful of their lives based on the collective energy of cancer, because everyone has. If when my mum said, "Oh, I've got stage 4," and you could feel in the vibration of the words that stage 4 meant it was serious. It's incurable. So we're fixing a timeline where this is incurable, and we can't ever get rid of it. We've got to always fight it and keep it at bay. I would just the invitation, and I know it's not easy, is to go towards it. What is that inside? What does the cancer feel like? And we're being brave enough. And I'm not saying it doesn't take courage, and I'm not saying don't take any other medical intervention. We're working in unison with the medical profession as healers. We're doing the unseen work, which can smooth the way for anything. Sometimes we need a physical intervention. That's part of life. I would go towards it and just, we're feeling into what is the texture of that? What does it mean to you? And can we face it? Can we look at it with open arms? That's the hard bit, with as least resistance as we can. So we often want it to go away. Any pain, generally want it to go away. Anything wrong with us, we're not quite seeing the gift. The gift can take years to realize once you're on the other side. That's the tricky bit, because for us, really simple stuff. My neck pain, had neck pain for years, and I'll go deeper in a moment. Actually, my neck pain for years, and in there was grief. It had been in there since I was 19. You track it back. Father dies at 19. There's grief, there's anger, there's a flare up, and only when I went towards that, it started to relax. But the deeper message behind this, and interestingly, cancer, is that I actually became my father. I became a vibrational pattern of him. I repeated the same patterns, and he died at 49, and I knew somewhere inside of me the same thing was going to happen to me, because there was a fear there was a resistance. So some of the energy that stuck within us isn't even ours, came in through ancestral trauma that our parents are carrying, and that isn't to judge or blame. It's all unconscious. It comes through both of our like the family has a nervous system. Someone was talking about that. It's like, there's a kind of like there's a zone that we all sit in that immediate family, and that's normal to us. That becomes normalized, however painful or abusive it can be, or joyful. I praise to anyone who has had that joyful childhood and is in that vibration. And then I had a choice. I was given a choice. I was seen. I was shown. I was shown the timeline where I was going to die, where I had agreed to that. And then I was shown the other timeline. And actually, in that timeline, there weren't many people at my funeral. It was very small. It was like 5 people. And then I had the new timeline. And that was a tough one. I had to make really difficult decisions for me. I had to change. I had to I had to find a new way that was right for me. And when you change big things like that in your families, when you become the change maker, the circuit breaker, it doesn't always go down well. And it takes a lot of courage, but it is worth it. It is worth it on the other side, because you feel what it's like to be you on the other side of the pain. And that's when we can finally see the gift, when we can start living and we can start enjoying nature and really, really vibrating at the level we were meant to, we were born to. And then we can go, when we can see the gift and even more beyond the gift, there's more than the gift. There's a lot higher vibrations that I probably won't even go into right now. But yeah, thank you.
While you're speaking, Bry, I get this sense that you have incredible compassion for everybody, every being in the planet, in the cosmos. What is the connection between self-compassion or compassion in general and activating the inner light body?
Compassion, well, I know people talk about compassion fatigue, and it's generally when we haven't given enough for ourselves. We've been over giving in so many different places. We've been soothing with, for me, it's like food or the TV or whatever, and we've not taken the time out for us without putting demands on it. We're just being. Being is it interesting, isn't it? I know that it's well used, like the human being. We're not human doings and all that kind of stuff. But being is subtle, and it goes deeper and deeper, and it never really ends. It's a continuous journey. And I would say compassion is the root of that. Any trainings I've done have been compassionate inquiry, Gabor Mate, a compassion key. All those compassion has been. It's like I've needed to learn the lesson of compassion for myself before I finally got it. Before I finally, okay, oh, this is what it really is, because I'm not sure if I actually have ever received it. What does that feel like, Bry? And then get used to it. It's like, okay, can you have conversations from your, say light body? All of these are quite abstract. The light body is an abstract. We could talk about consciousness and go further, but when you're in your light body, because you feel good, you feel the flow, you can feel other people's vibrations and their pain, but it doesn't overcome you. I can hold their pain because I've faced my pain. I've faced my demons. I've faced the judge in me. I've faced all those coping mechanisms. That's not to say I'm like super healed, but there are levels of it, levels of vibration with that, and levels of compassion. And I am just humble, and actually probably really glad to be here alive. It seems so obvious. And when you're on the other side of that, and I can tell you, I have been on the other side of that. It's kind of like sat in this, I was sat in this sort of pit of energy, bottomed out. when I finally made the choice to live for me, and it takes time, it's almost like can I be on the dance floor of life without caring what other people think of me, and without hiding my light, and just being me, and being all right if people don't like me and don't like what I'm doing, because deep inside of me, I am fine with what they're doing as well. It's a very fine line, and sometimes I watch it and it's like a barometer, and then I'll check myself. Okay, now you need to go deeper. That isn't actually you. That isn't your light body. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Very much. And
Mm.
I also like what you say about how you essentially came to accepting yourself. And I think that people listening to these conversations and to us now really do know what is calling them in life. And they have the yeah buts, or they have the, oh, but I can't, or what if I do that, then this might happen, versus how you're describing it and embodying it and sharing with all of us is that is who you really are. And you moved from sort of an external focus of the world, which marketing and those kinds of things serve their purpose, but for you, maybe it felt it was lacking something. I could use stronger language, but I won't. And I think you're really inspiring those who are listening to accept themselves, because I think one of the pieces that I've noticed with doing healing sessions for others and my own journey, and healing, we could really just say, is also the soul development, right? Like, to your point, Abby, there's really nothing wrong with any of us. That I've discovered that it seems, for at least everybody I've worked with, there's always a small to very large component of lack of self-love and self-acceptance of who they really are. And I think that part of life is discovering who we are.
Yeah, completely. As you were talking then about people knowing that they're meant to do this and know the purpose, and they're not quite making those moves. I believe it's very interesting energy, since it's got since probably 2012, from what I believe, and that we're almost given, and some intuitives have noticed this over the years, that the kind of, we used to see doorways, we used to see like a corridor and these options. It's like all that fell away. If you imagine, all the kind of guidance falls away, because we are meant to be something. It's almost something like miraculous inside of us, and it takes, it's almost like the leap of faith. But I'm not a big one for, let's make these really big life-changing decisions as well. I think there are graduations of it where we can do some of the energy work behind that. Is it right for me right now? I don't need to make this really rushed decision and feel into it. Can we do it gradually? Can we also heal any resistance within us before we make the moves, before we take those steps? People forget the unseen. They think of, this is what I need to do. I need to leave my job. I need to do this. I need to set up a healing center. Sometimes it's good to check in. Where is that coming from? Is that from is that purpose, or is that from somewhere like a hole inside of us? And in itself, it's a journey as well.
It's ineffable. I mean, that's the language that is often, or the word that's often used, for example, when people have a near-death experience and they've more fully experienced what we might say is the other side of the veil. And when they come back and try to describe it, like you're saying, it's just very difficult to describe.
I actually had a client that went to the other side completely and came back. And what she told me is, she came back for her purpose. Like she knew she wasn't done. So I believe there's a certain purpose that until your soul is done, you're going to fulfill. And another woman, it's funny, I just went out to a place called Quest Haven, and this was probably like 10 years ago. This woman told me, even more than 10 years ago, she too went to the other side and she saw color and heard sound. So it was like music, not just sound, music. So to me, that's vibration. And so like I'll see colors or hear, like when we just see those finer tuned frequency of music and color, it's energy. So to me, it is the finer, lighter sensations, right, that are allowing that to be. So I just, for whatever reason, I feel like that was important to share. I think because, your intuition is that inner compass that tunes you into your purpose, right? And so, I left a full ride scholarship, or not full ride, mostly full ride. Like I pretty much had it paid for. And, the dean thought, I was crazy. He's like, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not, because the truth is the truth, but I'm going to go follow my intuition." And I had visions of healing people and them actually having their own answers, right? Holding the space of unconditional love and non-judgment. And then started my practice at 19 and built the wellness center and certification school. So it's like, it knows its way. Your intuition knows the way. So if you're listening to that, you're going to help the people that you're meant to help. And yeah, it's funny. One of my old coaches, she just messaged me last night, and she's probably going to be professor for Harvard. It's just like, I'm like, all right, you never know. And I said, as long as you follow your heart, you're always going to help the people you're meant to help, just like you helped me. So that's why, like, there is no wrong way when you're listening to your intuition. So to not get caught up in your head, or like what you said, Bry, like what people are thinking or saying or whatever, because like it's between you and you anyways. And so it's just kind of like to trust that and to unite in the light together, because I was just thinking of the people on this show that I get to be with and that are leading with me. Like, what a great gift, because I'm learning, as I'm here present. So yeah, thank you.
Bry, you've given us a lot, and Abby, to feel into, to sense, to be with.
And you, Emmy.
Thank you. Thank you both. Bry, is there anything else you want to share today about activating the inner light body?
We work towards it gently. It's right there. There's nothing to fear. And it's a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you for helping myself and Abby and all of our listeners and viewers to connect with our heart, our light more deeply, and to be with ourselves in ways that truly feel right. And the more that we can do that, the better our world will be collectively and for each of us, seemingly individually. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here, Bry. Thank you, Abby.
Thanks, Emmy.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Really loved it. Thank you.
Very welcome.